Welcome to Thursday Night Knives. I'm Bob DeMarco. Coming up, CJRB's popular Pyrite is now perfect. We're going to take a look at some random knives from the collection, give away a knife for the Gentleman Junkie knife giveaway, and then has your EDC changed with age? Has it? How has it? Has it gotten more intense and bigger? Has it gotten smaller and more gentlemanly? Are you a tired old man who doesn't want to carry the big knives anymore? Or are you young at heart, still carrying the big knives and actually increasing your carry? We have some people on this who join this broadcast, this live, who carry a lot of knives. So I like to hear it, and I'm just curious. How have things changed? Have you matured? I don't think I have, but we'll get to that. Nomadic Adventures, good to see you here, sir. Smash that like button, he says. Yeah, I highly recommend that. Yeah, do smash the like button. And if you're not subscribed, be sure to do that too. Robert Douglas, good to see you here, sir. Hey, EDC has changed a lot since retirement. Carry way less. That's interesting. To me, I start carrying more during retirement, like swords and stuff, because I can't show up to the office like that. Hello to all this evening. Need a nap? Yeah, hit the like he said. All right, Douglas, you enjoy that nap. I cherish naps. Excuse me. I like seated naps. I like 20-minute. I like quick bangers, and they just give me that little jolt, and I can get back to my day with full battery recharge. Ed Durbin, good to see you here, Ed. The only thing that's changed for me is pry bars. Otherwise, I've carried knives, folding pliers, flashlights, and other stuff ever since my first real job when I was 15 in 1985. You and I are about the same age, Ed. You're slightly my senior, but pry bars, have you adopted them or given them up as a thing of as something like a less dynamic fidget spinner? That's kind of how I look at pry bars, because I never find myself needing to pry. And on those very rare occasions, I don't think of pry bars unless it's something huge, and that never comes up. I always think of screwdrivers, and that's not using the right tool. I get it. Dave, this old sword blade reviews. Good to see you here, sir. Evening, junkies. My EDC has changed carrying around this tired old body. Yeah, right. If you've ever seen Dave cut a tatami mat, you wouldn't say so. Hey, what's up, Michael? We have a knife day with us. This is coincidental. Coincidental to actually, it's not that coincidental. Pretty much every day, my undershirt is either totally plain or it's got some knife theme on it. And today I have the most comfortable, cool, and well-designed and loved by my daughters Have a Knife Day shirt on. Robert Douglas says, I feel that old body stuff, sporting a cane and attitudes. I still like to be nice though. Hey, yeah, sure. You still got to be nice, but Robert, what an awesome opportunity. Here's the silver lining for you to get a Cold Steel sword cane or other sword cane. But I mean, as a knife enthusiast, as a blade enthusiast, and someone who is currently a caned individual, why not make it a bladed caned individual? Just a thought. Byron Kennedy, good to see you here, Byron. Howdy, Bob. Jim and Junkies on another Thursday Night Knives, Nomadic. On another Thursday Night Knives, Nomadic, HAKD, Old Togata, EHD, Robert D. Yeah, I like it. I like the hyping and the calling out. I do want to say, speaking of calling out, this beautiful Tonto, which looks like I'm really noticing against the paleness of my face, that beautiful shape of that Tonto blade. Anyway, this is the Gentleman Junkie giveaway knife today, and I forgot to mention when Dave was on here, this is courtesy of Dave, very generous guy. This beautiful concept warrior is up for grabs. Will B, how's it going, Will? Hey, Jim, Bob, Junkies. It's good to have you here, Will. I hope you're doing all right, or better than all right. It's the start of the weekend. Have a Knife Day says, yeah, I have a skull-headed cane that was made in the Ukraine in my loadout. Paratrooper knees acting up. Wow. So skull-headed, I'm assuming that's like metal, right? Like a cast bronze or something. That sounds pretty cool to have a weighted cane like that. I got my dad something like that a few years ago. It's got a big brass knob on it. and a nice hickory shaft. I think it's hickory. Blade Ogre, good to see you here. Hello, all. He says, your ears must be burning because I was talking about viewers / listeners who carry a lot of knives. Blade Ogre carries 9 to 10. I think that's usual, as does Will B. He's also up there with the huge, amount, with the large roster, daily roster. Joseph S., good to have you here with us, sir. Good evening, he says. Well, I say good evening right back at you. Will be. I'm 38 now and carry more than I did when I was 28. Well, now you're recognizing all of those things you didn't know when you were 28 and just a babe in arms. But now that you're 38, you get it. You get that you need variety in your cutting instruments, and you, sir, always have tremendous variety. Never enough knives 007. That did not roll off my tongue tonight. Never enough knives 007. Good to see you here. Happy Thursday, junkies, he says. Motivation. Ooh, that's good. Hot, delicious. Have a Knife Day says, still carry the big knives along with my skull-headed cane in cane my in the Ukraine. So yeah, you got the big knives and you're allowed to carry them out in the open where you are, I believe, right? I know we can here. I think the laws actually tighten up for when you carry big knives like that concealed. Oddly enough, Nick EDC says, "Hey Bob, Jim, and gang." Well, Nick EDC, it's really good to have you. I'm talking, about hiding weapons like that, and this thing is disturbing to me. Blade Ogre says, "Not matured at all, carrying more." Excellent. Well, maybe carrying more is the sign of maturity. Maybe I'm just making assumptions. James Moore says, "Hi everybody." Hey James, it's great to have you here as always, sir. Ryan's Got Stuff said, "As a kid I carried small knives. I carry big knives now, like the Amish John." I like that. Slap you open kind of things. The Amish John. That's such a beautiful, it's a big recurve Bowie by the Work Tough Gear company. That is such a cool knife. And to carry that out and about, it's like, yeah, that's cool. I would love to carry something like that. I would have a trail of fainted pearl clutchers where I live if I were to carry something like that. Ket McNessard says, "Good evening, Bob, Jim, and junkies." Ketmuk, always a pleasure, sir. You had a cool post recently, a couple days ago. I think you were starting a fire, something. Trying to remember now. It was like a knife stuck in a stump, maybe, and you just started a fire. Ed Durbin says, "Adopted, carried a Vero Fulcrum and used it every day. I have a Teal Designs pry bar too, but I don't carry it as much as the Fulcrum." So Ed is saying, I was posing the question, are you saying you got rid of it or you adopted it? And he adopted it. I have one pry bar. I don't think I'm running them down. I have a cool pry bar from Jason Stout. It is beautiful, milled really to perfection, and you could scrape with it, you could pry with it, you could open cans with it, and you could also, I don't know. I feel like the corners are pointy enough. You could hurt someone with it, and it seems like you could. And so that's why, for instance, I took it out of I carry it around in my daily backpack. But when I flew recently, I took it out because I was like, I know I could hurt someone with this. Someone else could look at this and think that whatever. Yeah, pry bars, interesting. Interesting, because a lot of knife makers are into them too. Groundfog says, "Hey," he's waving. That's right. I always thought it was Clapter at first, but he's saying, "Hey." Patrick J. Dunn says, "Just woke up from a nap." Excellent, sir. I hope you feel refreshed. Got a month off from work. 50 years old and carry 2 to 3 knives. Good man. Good man. I am up there with you. I'm a little bit older than you, and I too carry 2 to 3. And then there's always a fourth one in the bag, just for, desk carry, if you will, at work. Drive the people around me nuts. But I have a pen clicker to one side, and then someone else who coughs a lot to the other side. So I'm gonna make my knife sounds. This old sword says, "Kim Ning is the designer of the Concept Warrior." Yeah, this thing is. I really do adore the. I always like unique tanto shapes. That to me is a unique tanto shape with that really nice swedge right up at the front. and that long pointy section, yokote, something like that is what that's called. Hey, what's up, Scab? Good to see you. Good evening, all. I carried a bunch of everything. This is what we like to hear. He carries a bunch of everything, and we also know, speaking of the Amish John that was being spoken of before, we know that Scab carries that kind of knife too, which is refreshing. We need more people walking around with these kind of knives. Never Enough Knives 007 says, I broke a rib a few weeks ago. Oh, man. And used my cold steel sword cane for a few weeks. Excellent choice. I didn't really need it, but it seemed like a good excuse. I got my sword cane. I lived in New York City. I got my sword cane when I jacked up my ankle, and how I did it is a funny story. It was a little bit of Sicilian rage brain took over, and I was at work and I kicked a box, and the box happened to be jam packed full of old beta tapes. It was like a giant brick that I kicked, and I messed up my foot for a good while. And so I thought, since I'm hobbling around, this is when I bought Crocs too. So I'm hobbling around. I got to wear Crocs and a cane. I'm going to make it a good cane, the kind of cane I'm going to go to Rikers for if I get caught with, but never did. Thank God. James Moore says, lately I carried a flashlight at least as often as a knife. Now, James, are you saying in lieu of your knife? I had my cool flashlight out before. You guys familiar with the 119? This is a great buck knife. I just had it out as a little something here to look at for a second, but it just occurred to me I need to hold this thing up. It is so awesome. Yeah, James, are you saying flashlight instead of or in addition to? I'm all for a flashlight, like the kind I have that I got from one of your alls. I think maybe Dave. But the as a self-defense thing, I'm all for blinding people and then breaking their nose with your flashlight. I think that's a pretty cool thing, but that would never stop me from also having a knife. Nomadic Adventure says, with the flashlight, most said one cell phone, right? Most say have one cell phone. My question is, ever try to talk to someone on a phone and use a flashlight? Yeah, no doubt. You got to have a flashlight. I mean, we've all established this. Hey, Shed Knives, big hello from Shed Knives. Happy to be here for Thursday Night Knives. Well, it is a pleasure. Jack, it was so cool to meet Jack in person, Jack Billings of Shed Knives, and meet his family, who was there with him, his brother and his father. I'm not sure if I met anyone else from his family, but really great people. And it was, I'm a sucker for a family knife story. It was great to see them all there supporting Shed Knives. Speaking of which, mine's over there, out of reach as usual, but that's like 90% of my knives. What was the last thing you had, Jim? Sorry, I was going off. Damon 0530, good to have you here, sir. Carried the Zarmenio tire today. Sweet action is sweet. Zarmenio tire, I'm not sure I know what that is. And is it Zermeno or Zermenio, like with the Enye? For some reason I want to say it like that. Is that Spanish? I'm seeing a Herman knife in my mind right now, but I know that's not what you're saying. Nomadic Adventure says, cheap small ones with clip worth great, especially if used with hat and it comes hands-free. Yeah, I love those clips with the backward, or those hats with the backward clips. All right. I'm getting ahead of myself because I still have not checked in with you all and found out what you're carrying. So all of that said, I think right now it's time for a pocket check. Front right pocket, I had this beauty. This is the Dirk Pinkerton inversion prototype. This is something that's in development. I think it's a slow burn for this, but someday it'll come out, and I can't wait because this thing is awesome. This is his version of the, well, I shouldn't say his version. This is a new version of the inversion, a knife that he originally designed and licensed to Kaiser Knives right here. A beautiful Pikal style knife with the titanium frame lock. after this was discontinued, he made some design changes, and as he canvassed a number of folks. I know Dave, who's with us right now, he canvassed him and me and a recent guest, Ryan Atkinson, and some other folks, Tier 1, I believe, about the changing the blade shape. And he presented some different blade shapes. And I think the resounding answer was to go for this more of a sloped Wharncliffe, for some for looks. No doubt that was a part of it for me, but also reports from people like Ryan Atkinson, who does the organic medium testing with knives, and found that that sort of chisel tip just offered unnecessary resistance in piercing, instead of using that. So it comes out, it's a Pakal, it comes out with that wave on top, or whatever you want to call it. I love that feature. It also, you can use a smaller sort of thumb disc thing, but I prefer the wave opener. You got Green G10. I don't know who the OEM is. I have no idea what kind of steel that is, but I just know it's wicked, and it's extremely sharp, and like deceptively sharp. And I think that's I don't, oddly enough, usually expect hawk bills to be as sharp on the edge, but actually all my hawk bills pretty much are. So this thing is awesome. Love it. I had that in my front right pocket. Don't usually carry Pakal's front right recently. Here's my Emerson with a similar, you can see they used a very similar concept to this aftermarket piece that I got from a gentleman on Instagram whose name eludes me. All right, second on me, I had the Jack Wolf Knives Gunslinger Jack. This thing is butter. I don't know how else to put it. It's so, everything about this is really well done. But the thing that impresses me most about this is Ben Belkin himself, who self-taught him. He taught himself how to design on CAD, and then he took his favorite patterns from history and changed them, and in many ways perfected them, at least to my hand and eye, and really just showed incredible talent. And then he decides to make a bolster lock flipper and just nails it. You know what I mean? This is now this is a real example of true talent. And you can have talent and not develop it, not work hard and not develop it, and you may as well not have it, because talent really requires hard work, and Ben really put in tons of hard work. And it's so cool to see how he can now just make this. He can just design a perfect bolster lock gentleman's knife, 3.25-inch amazing EDC knife, because oftentimes it's the lack of lock that stops people from getting knives like this, like Jack Wolf knives. And now there's no reason, well, there might be one reason not to get a Jack Wolf knife, but that one aside, there is no reason. And obviously I'm talking about fundage. These are not inexpensive knives, and because I have never paid for one, I should not assume that they're easy to get, because they're not. I know how often I spend this kind of money on a folder, and lately it hasn't been often. I've been more into the fixed blades these days. So all that being said, I am so incredibly impressed by the Gunslinger Jack. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I love the carbon fiber, the super hollow ground clip point blade, and the action. And man, I'm just so impressed with Ben Belkin. He just doesn't fail to impress. Okay, so next up, I had the Nova 1 on me today. This is such a comfortable carry for in appendix, even with the with that pointy sheath. It's just perfect for appendix carry, if you ask me. This nice rounded off handle is comforting against the belly. I wore this tonight, or carried this all day, under a shirt, over an undershirt and then a shirt over it. But I went out for a walk with the ladies and the dog after dinner, and I just had this under my t-shirt against the skin, and I felt, it was warm and smooth. What can I say? And rounded off. And also I got that warm feeling knowing that my belly was passively polishing that mica. Micarta. I kept about to call it Markita because I was talking about Doug Markita earlier. But look at that. It's about the same size as the Gunslinger Jack. That's pretty cool. Okay, last on me today, I had a Spyderco Delica. This one was a gift from my first daughter through my wife uh, back when she was the only daughter, and she affectionately named it Sleepy Bear. So today I was rocking Sleepy Bear as my emotional support knife, and in this case, more of a sentimental emotional support rather than the fidgety kind. And by the way, traveling recently, I have noticed a lot of people bullshitting about the emotional support animals. I think uh, because these animals don't behave like they've been trained in any way at all. They just look like cute little dogs that have the vest with owners who just can't quite stand to be without their dog. Um, but that's a different subject. This was my emotional support knife today. What were you guys carrying? Look at this colorful lineup. Wow, we have maroon, we have purple, lilac, whatever this is. We have this blue carbon fiber and that green. So nice. I'm loving it. All right. So, what did you guys carry? Let me know. Drop it down below. Now, I'm going to sheathe these up so I don't accidentally gore myself, and I'm going to hand it over to you. You let me know. And as we do, let's see. Ed Durbin says PMP Revenge today. Which one is the Revenge? PMP is an interesting company. They put out some really cool stuff. Tomorrow is going to be either the Tucson TS27 tie or the Tucson TS346 Blackwash. I only have two, and I'm sorry, I don't know which ones those are. It's the numbering thing. It gets me. I have the 301, and I have the 336, and I always kind of thought that the numbers should be in order of how they came out, but I don't think that's the case. Do you know how they're numbered, Ed? Mm. Robert says, as usual, my Mannix in 110V and Griptilian in 20 CV. Oh, a very solid and classic lineup there. Solid choices, classic lineup with the old grip and the well, not the old grip, the new grip, and the Mannix. Jeez. Senior moment. Blade Ogre says, carrying the EOS Prawn, the Sniper Bladeworks LPC. I saw, okay, I'm going to interrupt myself and say I was talking with Lance Abernathy. He's the Sniper Bladeworks proprietor. He's such a cool guy. He's very nice. I had him on the show once years ago, and now every time we see each other, we have a nice long conversation. Anyway, I was hanging out at his booth for a little while at Blade Show, and they did some really cool stuff with interesting camos and interesting patterns on the LPCs. Baby blue camo, pink and purple camo, really interesting stuff. I think with Cerakote, it was cool. I got to say, it was cool because the knives themselves are so beefy. They're so outrageously, well, not outrageously, but they're so tank-like and tough. And they're also a little exotic and gnarly looking with their pistol grip. So to have them in with those patterns, I just like the cognitive dissonance. Okay, EOS Prawn, Sniper Bladeworks LPC, the Devo Pony Stout. I love this knife. I've been crushing on this knife for 2 weeks now. The Pony Stout, the Viper Storm, very cool. The Manly Wasp in S9DV, the Cold Steel 8015, the Case Elephant Toe, the GEC English Jack, and the Sleazy Ogre Custom Fixie by Brass Brigade. Okay, so that's 9. Blade Ogre has 9. We'll see how many Will B has. That's cool that you got that made by Brass Brigade. He almost came on the show, and then I got sick, and then I tried to reschedule, and we've had a bit of back and forth, but I look forward to having Jason Grant on the show. He seems like a really nice guy, and I love his designs and his work. Byron Kennedy says Cold Steel Recon 1. That's a classic, and I believe, Byron, you carry the Drop Point. if I'm not mistaken. The Rosecraft Applejack, the Off-Grid All-Day Necker, which is also an EDC for you for sure, and the Milwaukee Fastback 6-in-1. I have the Milwaukee fold-in carpet knife in my car, and it is a cool and gnarly tool. Hero Sticks, good to see you here, Hero Sticks. Evening and cheers all, he says. Well, evening to you, sir. Tell us what you were carrying. Not carrying. Tell us what you were carrying. This Old Sword Blade Review says, on top of the world today with 3 new beauties. Okay. Oh, this is cool. I love this. I lurked at the CKF booth playing with this one, man. Okay, so we got the Custom Knife Factory Rock Eagle Terzuola, a beautiful, big, gorgeous Terzuola design made by Custom Knife Factory. It's killer. The Max Ace Babylon Auto, that's a cool one. I really like the look of that too. And the Ketuo Griffin by David Jin. Trusty Olight pen. So that Griffin is interesting too. You did a review of that. I think Jared did a review of that. I think, or no, that knife was appeared in a video he did of stuff he got at Blade Show. That's an interesting one. Not really in my area of. I don't really like it, but it's interesting. But I do like that Rock Eagle and that Babylon. Oh my God, I think I need to get that Babylon. I think they have titanium and G10, if I'm not mistaken, like they do across their product line. All right, let's count for Will B. Riot Horizon C. Oh, very nice. Did I sell you my Horizon C? I had a Horizon C way back in the day. And that's one that I regret getting rid of. But I say that all the time. Okay, Riot Horizon C, Demco 8020 Slim, the Wii Ziphius, classy so far, Benchmade Rift, the Concept Preta 2, the Axial Gear Shift, the Beyond EDC Night Horse. Man, this is a nice lineup. The Spyderco Ronin in the custom, Sheath, the Vandrer Knives Fenrir. And so that's 2 fixed blade Warncliffs you're carrying. Cool. I can't argue with that. I would ordinarily say 2 Warncliffs, but hey, you're carrying 2 fixed blades, so that trumps all. So that's 9 blades. So you're tied with Chris, but you also have the Olight Baton 3 and the Arcfeld UV and the Wii pen, and that Wii pen is a Wii pen, isn't it? It's tiny. Very cool. That's quite a carry. Yeet Feet, hello Yeet Feet. Good to have you here. Let us know what you're carrying today. I'm sure you were carrying something if you happen to be here. So let us know what it was. Never Enough Knives 007 says today was a trio of Savivis. The Praxis, present and accounted for. The Mini Praxis, very cool. And the Tama Ishii, along with the Victorinox Huntsman, Tamashii. I knew I was throwing some extra syllables in there. The Praxis and the Mini Praxis. I got my wife the Mini Praxis. That's a cool one. I forgot I got her that. I've gotten her too many knives because I shouldn't say that. She likes it when I get them for her, but she always goes back to her old faithfuls. She's got a couple of old faithfuls. Yeet Feet says, today I carried the Kershaw Fatback. I like that. The Fatback. I remember when that came out, and I love the name. That's a good one. Patrick J. Dunn, good to see you here, Patrick. Front right pocket, Kubi Orthodox with Ulti clip. Very nice. Front left pocket, Palm Pepper Spray. Rear left pocket, Axial Shift Raw Aluminum. Ooh, nice. With black double edge. And fifth pocket, Olight i3T. Love those little guys. EOS bronze finish. Let me ask you this, Patrick. For the pepper spray. That is not something I have or keep. Do you keep that on you for people or animals or both? I'm curious because it seems like it could be a great dog deterrent if you're concerned about it. So Just curious. Have a Knife Day says the Spartan Blades K-Bar in Magna Cut. Scab's been showing that off. He's got one, I think, on loan or whatever. Either way, he's got a killer looking one. And I think his is in flat dark earth. Have a Knife Day. Is yours flat dark earth, or what's the coloration on yours? Those are so cool. They remind me of the dog heads, with the short quillions, the shorter guard on the bottom part, and the asymmetric pommel. I would love to get a dog head K-bar. Or I would love to get this Spartan Blades K-bar. Okay, and the Spyderco Military 2. That's right. You got the Military 2 with the new black Cerakote deep carry pocket clip and a lanyard I made for this last night with a skull bead. Very cool. I don't know what the hell is going on with Blade HQ and they're not having the Military 2 and advertising and taking $5 deposits for it so early. I know $5, it's not a lot of money, but I'm like, come on, man. What are you waiting for? I'm sure it's not them. I'm sure it's Spyderco. But I feel like Blade HQ, though I love them dearly, they just seem to drag their feet on stuff. I'm going to say that. And I still think they owe me a swags. Well, okay. I'm not going to go there. Ed Durbin says, I think Two Sons originally came out in numerical order, but now I think they just run amok with numbers because they like numbers, right? And sometimes I wonder, does it have to do with blade style? Or does it have to do with designer, like with ZT? Oh man, that's so good. Kep McNussard says, today I am carrying the Spyderco Shaman, the Lion Steel Gitano, the Dreadnought Forge Nesmuk. That whole thing sounds cool. Dreadnought. I love the term Dreadnought. Like, those big giant warships, and the term Dreadnought. I dread nothing. I am the greatest warship. And, Forge and Nesmuk. Okay, anyway, Dreadnought Forge Nesmuk and a Wingard Wearables micro dick pic. Very nice. I got my Wingard Wearables always here on the desk, and then I have one up in the dresser, and then I have one on my bedside table. I have the 3 different tomahawks, and at this point, I think they have a large version of this now. The back ripper. This thing is so awesome. And it really is, it lives up to its name. This is an incredibly sharp inner edge. This would lay any sucker to waste. So, I'm ready for when the boys start coming around. John Farmingdale says, Buck Knives, John, good to have you here with us, sir. Excuse me. Buck Knives, 722 Spitfire in black. I remember the Spitfire. I think I know the Spitfire. Always on front pocket. I hear that. You got your front right for most of us if we're right-handed. And I've really, I used to put knives willy-nilly in my left pocket. Like, who cares about the pocket clip? And then one day, one of my knives opened like this, and I didn't have the backing of the pocket seam. When this is in your right pocket, it can't open because the pocket is there and the material is there, but it's in the left side and somehow it jostles open. There's nothing to stop that knife from totally ruining your hand if you decide to reach in. So just be careful. Consider in your offside carry that you don't have a situation like this. So if you're going to carry a right hand clipped knife on your left side, do it in your back pocket so it has the seam to stop it from opening. Hero Stick says, today I carried my Birch Tree Blades Secant. That is such a cool knife. And actually, that's one that Hero Sticks loaned to me way in the back. And actually, that wasn't that long. It was last year. I have that a video up of that. The Finch Drifter in Snakewood. Very nice. The CRKT Spew in brown and black G10. Spew. Just the name. But that's a really cool knife by Alan Foltz, a man that I met at Blade Show this year, and he's going to be coming on the show. Very much looking forward to that. He's a very interesting guy, and his knives are beautiful and meticulous. And I spoke with his protege. I don't want to call him that. I don't think he would call him that, but Macho, Diaz was on the show, and he's been learning from Alan Foltz. So cool stuff. Hungry Bird, good to see you, Hungry Bird. Good evening to all knife junkies. Well, good evening to you, Hungry Bird. A pleasure it is. I got a bunch of knives in front of me. I don't mean to be stingy. Let me show a couple off, because this is one that got buried under all my other really awesome Bowies. All my other really awesome Bowies. Mike Flamian says, Randall Model 15 attack. Mike, you warm the cockles of my heart every week with the fact that you carry a Randall Model 15 attack. With the CDT and Model 1 type handle, I know we've been through this. And the Hilt Folder Hinderer XM24 Bowie, an excellent choice. Spyderco Arc Necker and the Victorinox Cadet on the keys. I love the XM24 Bowie. I say it all the time. I think the larger 4-inch blade allows the beauty of that Hinderer Bowie style to fully express itself. Yeet Feet says, I'm thinking about getting some tour knives soon. I got a funny little story about tour knives. It's not really about tour knives. This is the Svord from Sweden. This is the Svord, or not Sweden, New Zealand. Oh, they're so close. This is the Svord from, wait a second. Hang on a second. I always thought Svord was from Sweden. Anyway, this knife is the Von Temsky Bowie, and Von Temsky was a guy who was a sort of a rough rider in New Zealand. So I'm not sure why it says NZ on the blade. I'm pretty sure Swords are made in Sweden. Am I right with a name like Sword? Wilby says, I got my Horizon C from Love Them Knives. Gotcha. Okay. Because I was going to say, can I buy it back? Just kidding. Ryan's Got Stuff says, I only carry the Raja 2, the Chinese pepper and Chinese pepper spray, but I only carry the Amish John to the truck and to the woods to punch wood apart. Yeah, I like that. Punch wood apart. Wilby says, nope, my wee pen is the wee Baculus. That's a cool name. It's a full-size titanium pen with a fidget spinner on top. Okay, I know that one. That is pretty cool. That's pretty good. Nomadic Adventures says Canine Jack and Small Smoke Wagon. What the hell? You guys have such cool. I mean, you're always learning me good. I don't know what a smoke wagon is, or I mean, in my day, a smoke wagon was something else. Canine Jack, such a great knife. We have a brand new Gentleman Junkie right here, 5-door. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you here, sir. Carried the Emerson Sax and playing with the Riot XOK, which arrived today. Very nice. I've got my Sax out. I've been carrying my Sax a lot recently, and I just have to put it in the mail and send it to Tom Engelson of Vantage Point Blade Works to have him mic harda this. He is such a great guy. He does such awesome work, and I saw him at Blade Show, and we hung out for about an hour. Also saw Edwin, and we were all talking together. I was kind of crashing their Emerson collectors group. It was really fun. And Tom had just gotten a whole bunch of really cool materials he was telling me about, some fat carbon and some other cool stuff for your aftermarket Emerson handles, Emerson and other handles. He does such great work. Check him out, Vantage Point Blade Works on Instagram. Ed Durbin says, Bob, I messaged you pics on Instagram of the 3 knives I mentioned earlier. Oh, okay. I will take a look, Ed. I will be sure to do that. Did you send them already? I have not looked at Instagram all of the day, all of the live long day. Have a Knife Day says, mine is black. Yes, the pommel is very reminiscent of the red Spacer model. Okay. All right. Oh, God. So you've got the black. $5 is just the principle of it. I will get another one when they do a black blade run. Yeah, it is. It is the principle of it. Yeah, and I thought it'll look okay with the satin blade, but then when I saw it at Blade Show, I thought it actually looked pretty nice with the satin blade. Sort of plain Jane with the satin blade and the black G10. James Moore says, Bob, carry is usually a knife and a light. Today is the FS Folder by Dmitry Sinkovich with Damasteel blade. Yeah, my heart skips a beat that you have a Dmitry Sinkovich custom folder. That's so awesome. With a Damasteel blade and blue carbo tie scales, and my Thai Henko Trident flashlight, milling pattern number 7. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know. I know what it means. I don't know what that milling pattern is, but that's cool. That if you get a Henko flashlight, Henko Trident flashlight, they have different milling patterns that you can choose. That's pretty cool. I have not, as you may all know, I'm sort of flashlight adjacent, kind of getting into it. Certainly not to this certainly not to this level in any way yet, but I do like, and I shouldn't say yet, but I do like my big night core, with the 6 glass breakers around the pommel, 3 glass breakers around the pommel. A little different from the classy stuff. So Gallows Gradient, good to have you here, Gallows. I want an XM24 Skinner. Those Skinners are really cool. That swept back blade, I love that. I was thinking about the 24 today too. It's kind of funny that we had Bowie mentioned, and then we just had Skinner mentioned. So I'll pull this out. I love the look of this Wharncliffe blade. And I have the Wharncliffe No Choil 3.5 inch 18. And I got to say, I like it better with the choil. And that I generally do not feel that way about anything. But look at that beautiful blade. That angle, that tip at the angle, angle at the tip is perfect to be piercy, but also still have a lot of utility. Patrick J. Dunn says, did some research on my K-bar. Seems to be from the 1940 through 60 era, when the Brown family were the owners and based in New York, based on the fonts and how the pommel was pinned. That's cool, Patrick. I have a K-bar back here that my brother gave me, and I did a good bit of research on that, and it was hard because the markings and the stamps are kind of worn out, very hard to see. But I'm pretty sure that I was able to dial it into a range. Excuse me. Nomadic Adventure says J-Bar. China knockoff always comes to mind when I hear K-Bar. But that's funny. J-Bar. Sword is made in New Zealand. Okay, thank you. Never Enough Knives. That's probably why it says NZ right here. Why did I think? You know what? I think that I just made assumptions about the Swedish language. That sword sounds Swedish to me. But okay, so that makes sense. Why a company, like why would a Swedish company make a Bowie knife based on a New Zealand guy? I get it. Okay, thank you. Have a Knife Day says, just got my Emerson fixed blade sax back for sharpening. Very nice. Went to their shop and picked it up in person. How cool. So you're right there. This Old Sword says, EDC has changed over the years in that I'm away from home. I'm sorry. In that if I'm away from home, I have a pocket carry small fixie along with a 3.75 budgety folder. Also Kimber 2-shot pistol primer fire pepper gel. That sounds cool. Is that a locality thing? Like, so Kimber, they make really fine 1911s, right? But you're saying that this is something, this is like a 2-shot Derringer kind of thing. I'm very curious what that is. Loyal Group, good to see you here, Loyal. He says, fuck, I'm late, but it's okay because we got another hour and 15 minutes, my man. And that's time enough for you to get yourself on the board for this. If you become a Gentleman Junkie, no, I know that's not going to happen. But what I wanted to say is this is the Gentleman Junkie knife giveaway knife today. We're going to be doing that in about 15 minutes. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Nomadic Adventure says, what is Bob sipping on tonight? I have black coffee and water. I have, I occasionally have a drink. I've gotten myself to where, I didn't drink for a year. And then after a year, I'm like, okay, I think I've calmed myself down because I felt like I was drinking too much. And then now on occasion, a nice family dinner or something, I'll have a glass of wine or something like that. But I've, so That's long for saying just coffee. It used to be coffee with whiskey in it, or whiskey or something like that. But yeah, black coffee to me is still just about my favorite thing, favorite beverage. Groundfog says, I have an old Camillus pilot knife that I haven't researched. Oh, nice. With the stacked leather handles and the octagonal pommel. No doubt. I love those. They are, my buddy had one growing up, and it came dull. It was by Ontario. It came dull. And, he and I, we didn't know how to sharpen. We attempted many times, and it just never, I mean, really, now knowing what that knife was like, you would definitely need a grinder. I mean, you're not doing that with a sharp maker or anything like that. And with stones, it would take forever, because it was like an edge. It was like the spine of a blade. Yeet Feet says, thoughts on United Cutlery. Yeah, I mean, United Cutlery, I collected those when I was young, because they had a couple of cool, so United Cutlery made knives by what's his name, that I really liked his designs at one point. Oh, dag nabbit. Someone help me. He was a Kempo karate guy. He made 2 Kempo knives. He did the Rambo 3 knife. Not Lyle. Come on, someone help me. Help me. Anyway, so United Cutlery, while someone is figuring this out and typing it in, United Cutlery made knives by this guy, and they really veered far into Gil Hibben. Thank you. The great Gil Hibben. I loved his stuff, especially his non-fantasy stuff. So United Cutlery also made a lot of movie reproduction knives, but for serious cutlery, I don't know what they've done lately. But if the stuff in the past that I had in the 80s is any indication, it's kind of wall hanger stuff. Thank you. That was torturous. Six Semper Tyrannis, good to see you here, Six Semper. The nice thing about edged weapons is you don't have to reload them. Yes, sir. Well said. Well said. Well said indeed. Speaking of edged weapons, I gotta say, if you guys have the dagger hankering, Loyal Group says, a junkie, yeah, a gentleman, sometimes. I like that. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. Can't always be a gentleman. If you guys have a hankering for a really sweet double-edged large dagger and you don't want to break the bank, I know I've talked about this a lot recently, and a lot of people actually have the Odin Wolf. These must have just been released to the wider world or to Amazon, because I saw one video on this and I ran out and got it, and then I saw others, and I'm not saying that I don't think anyone saw mine and ran out and got it. I think it just kind of was in the zeitgeist. It hit, and everyone's like, "What is this amazing dagger for only $60?" It's awesome. So if you're someone who's got, I know we have a lot of almost exclusively folder guys who watch the channel. But if you're flirting with the idea of getting a fixed blade knife, and you want something not so practical, you want like a fixed blade knife to have as a home protection thing, or, you're not looking for practicality, I would get this. Now, that being said, this actually could be practical, but that back edge, you got to watch. I mean, you could use this in the back 40, delimbing things and knocking down vines, but just don't forget it's double-edged. And when you keep that in mind, you can go twice the distance. Just flip it around and you're doing more work. So this looks wicked, looks cool, kind of looks like the cartoon version of Sting, Bilbo's sword in The Hobbit. The shape of this blade, I think, is so sweet. And it's very inexpensive, and it seems durable. And how do I know? Because I've watched other people abuse them on their channels. So Odin Wolf, I highly recommend it. Beaver Baron says, I have the Odin Wolf and love it. I seen it on Lefty's channel. Oh, he had it too. Lefty's got interesting taste, because he's got some really refined taste in folders, and then he loves axes and sword type things. Like he's got the Hoback axe. I borrowed that, and he's got like a Hoback sword and stuff. I think that's cool. Range, range. I was gonna show off something. Oh, speaking of Lefty, yeah, when we were just talking about this, let me put this under the spotlight for a minute. I love this knife, the Pony Stout. This is such a great little EDCer with a 14. Is this 14C? I think it's 14C blade. Really nicely hollow ground, great hand feel, and just a really good cutter. These things are awesome, and I have found it extremely fidgety and comforting just to have. Patrick J. Dunn says, I got that Rambo from United, and it's made pretty well. Yes, yeah, it is. It is. I don't think the heat treat is very good, but it's not, it's not really supposed to. Bob, that's a mini sword, says Nomadic Adventures. Nomadic Adventures, that's only an 8.5-inch blade, or maybe it's 9, but come on. I think the blade has to be a sword or a small sword. Blade has to be over 18 inches. Let's say that. Soulless One EDC, good to have you here. Soulless One. Speaking of fixed blades, my life goal right now is my life goal right now, I think is getting my hands on an Elvia from Turner CNC. That's a very cool knife. Okay, speaking of the Elvia, I have the El Pionero here from Tops Knives. Now, this is Jocks from Jocks Knife. He is a Gentleman Junkie and a friend across the pond, and he drop ships knives to me sometimes, and then I send them over to him after I have a chance to check them out. The reason I'm showing this and bringing this up is that it like the Elvia is an Ed Calderon design. That Elvia that you're talking about was loaned to me also in this same way by Jock over there when he got it, that Turner CNC Elvia. And yeah, it is sweet. The one, there was a little bit of, I didn't care for the sheath that much. I thought the sheath was a little too much. I would have preferred something a little more discreet, but the knife itself, oh my God, is that cool. And then the ones with the big serrations on it, those look sweet too. I would, so I've fully endorse your purchase, or you're seeking that. And if you need a note, let me know. Blame Dexter says, I know you stream every Thursday, but I had a shitty day today, so thank you for streaming. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, Blame Dexter. That sucks. But that part of the day is over, and you can compartmentalize that away and start a different part of your day, or as we say in this house, change the channel. And I'm glad you're here. Loyal Group says that El Pionero looks pretty stabby. Yeah, it does. And I remember thinking when I first saw it last year, when it was a prototype at Blade, I was like, it looks too much like a steak knife. But actually, I've really grown to like it. The comfortable handle, or I should say the handle is comfortable. That blade is really thin, way thinner than you expect from a Tops knife. And then that swedge, look at that swedge, so close to being an edge. I would so put an edge on this if this were mine, or if I get one, I might order it directly from Tops and see if they will sharpen it. They do that with some of their knives. I'm not sure if they do that with this one. Beaver Baron says exactly the range. Talking about slip blades, the next thing you know, he's pulling out the Odin Wolf saying, yeah, I forgot to show you this. Yeah, no kidding. Exactly. Yeet Feet, what would you recommend for an affordable bedside sword? So glad you asked, sir. So how affordable are we talking, Yeet Feet? Because I would go, if you want something affordable and you want a sword and it's for next to the bed and it's in the house, don't actually get a sword don't get like a full-size katana or a full-size, broadsword or anything full-size like that, because in the house you have obstructions. You can't swing something large like that in the house or in the hall. Think of the hallway, think of doorways, and how you would use a sword in all those different situations. And also don't forget about collateral damage. I don't know what your living situation is, but if there are other people around and your weapon is long, you could be risking. I would suggest a bedside tomahawk or a bedside machete. And by machete, I do mean stuff this length. These are short swords. These are from the Philippines, but they're roughly the size of your average machete. And the cool thing is that you can go to look at Cold Steel, and the variety of machetes they have are based on swords, are based on weapons, not clearly on brush clearing tools. So if you want a machete that will do great out in the field, but is also stabby like a sword for the bedside, I would do that. I would get like a barong or one of the Cold Steel, you know, machetes that are about, I don't know, in total 25 inches or something, 25 to 29 inches long. And that's what I would use for a bedside sword. Especially, you mentioned affordable and also light and realistically wieldable. It's cool to have. Like, for a long time, I had this by my bedside. This was a gift from my brother, not affordable, very battle ready and badass, and a cool thing. Like every Italian household needs a gladius. Let's just say every household needs a gladius. But realistically, in the dark, especially with a perfectly round handle, you can't tell which way the blade is indexed unless you have your thumb. There's so many ways to screw things up with a big gladius in the dark, double-edged. And so this is no longer by my bed. Also, it fell on my foot, and I'm in the dark, and I wanted to scream bloody murder. So yeah, consider the machete. They even have some smaller machetes, larger knife style, like about that big. So just a thought. Let me know. Max the Maker says, knife carry today. Max, good to have you here, Max. Knife carry today was my blade so bought American Blade Works Model 1 V6 Ultem, used to cut twin and drip tip. Hey, let me ask you, did you get the one with the Wharncliffe blade? I love his Wharncliffe blade, and it looks very similar to this Wharncliffe blade, as a matter of fact. Beaver Baron says, love the orange liners. Oh, yeah. Me too. Yeah, they really make it pop. And they're so into usually red liners. The orange is a nice change. Loyal Group says, you'll poke your eye out, kid. That's right. You'll shoot your eye. Yeah. Nomadic Adventures is laughing, and now I don't know why. Oh, bedside machete. Yeah, maybe that's why. The discussion of a bedside knife. See, I'm taking it totally seriously. Six Emperor Tyrannus says bedside 357. Yeah, I say both. I say both. You can't have too much, right? Loyal Group says, you want to stab someone with some shit? A Bussy Hellraiser 2. Oh yeah, God, Bussy knives are awesome. That's a that is an egg I have yet to crack. Bussy knives, they are expensive and they're hard to get. Though there's an entire Bussy knives forum for buying them on blade forums. I should go check out when I'm ready to do that. Loyal Group says bedside 12 gauge. Indeed. And also think about this. You don't want just in terms of the blades, yes, we will agree that a firearm should be there too. But in terms of the blades, machete, yeah, that's good. If you're getting up out of bed and you're taking the action out. But what if you're in bed and you wake up with someone on top of you? Well, a machete, would be hard. So you need something small bedside too. Like, say, this Auxiliary Manufacturing Pocket Rocket 3-inch dagger. I am so in love with this thing. Paper micarta handle, I believe, or Richlight. And the handle is so comfortable. My God. And look, it is quite beautiful with the faceting. But it's just really comfortable. Octagonal and cross section with all of these swales, at the 12, 3, 6, and 9, I guess, and really comfortable in reverse grip. He makes this, Michael Jarvis of Auxiliary Manufacturing makes this with a longer blade and then with a shorter handle, same size blade. And he has a couple of different setups for this, but that I really like this knife, and it carries so comfortably in the waistband. I keep a Work Tough Gear Wilderness Warrior 2 by the bed. Wilderness Warrior 2. And a couple rotating knives under the pillow. Will. That's yeah, okay. So I have this I got into bed once with well, it's maybe it happened more than once, but both times it scared the crap out of me with just a pocket knife in my pajama pocket, and then woke up the next morning. I was like, "Oh shit." And this is still in my pocket, thank God. And I thought about, like, what if the damn thing came out and opened up while we're sleeping? Like, what a nightmare, but under the pillow and in a sheath, it's a different thing. I'm too much of a hands under the pillow kind of guy to do that. I might, in my sleep, fidget with it. Loyal Group says, do you need to borrow one of my bussies? Oh my gosh. Yeah. I wouldn't say no. I would have, I would be honored. I'd love to check out one of your bussies. What is that steel? They have their proprietary steel. I'm very interested in that. Hero Stick says, Bob, having scored a push dagger at Blade Show, curious what knives or other pieces are on your hot list to get hands on in the coming months. Yeah, I want to get another auxiliary manufacturing. I'm kind of digging into some of the stuff I already like. But brands I want to expand into, I want to get an Ocaso knife. Do you know Ocaso knives? Very gentlemanly, very cool knives, but and also designed by big name makers. So I'm looking forward to that. Oh, geez, man, I feel almost on the spot. Like I'm going around in my mind. I want to get the RMJ Bowie. I can't remember what that one's called. And I want to get the Work Tough Gear. Oh, now I'm just gonna rattle off knives I want to get, but one that I should have said first off is the new Work Tough Gear. What the hell is the name? Scourge or something? I can't remember the name, but it's one of the two I had on loan here from Scab, and they have just re-released it. It's this wicked recurve harpoon, and it's not coming to me. I've been leaving the Fenrir or Ronin 2 under the pillow usually, and usually the Night Horse. The Fenrir or the Ronin, I could see for sure, especially considering they have a pretty positive engagement in the sheaths. Loyal Group says, speaking of work tough, the Kodiak will eliminate your enemies. Yeah, that's a wicked looking knife for such a sort of vanilla style blade. Luck Knives, hey, how's it going? He says, howdy. Well, it's a pleasure having you here, sir. Patrick J. Dunn says, any thoughts on Cold Steel Warrior series? Are they battle ready? I like the Wakizashi 21-inch blade. Oh, yeah, definitely. I have the Warrior series Shisa Katana. That's their short katana. It's sort of a short, stout version for exactly what I was talking about before. Traditionally, the Shisa Katana was used by guards inside who dealt with hallways and small, more confined spaces. So it's larger than a wakizashi, smaller than a regular katana. But anyway, it's from that Warrior series, and yeah, it's good to go for sure. Southpaw Knife says, what up, dude? Well, what up, knife dudes? Well, Southpaw, it's good to have you here. We're just waxing poetic about knives. And actually, we're about to get to this giveaway because I said we'd do it at 11. And of course, it's 11:04. But what can I say? I married into a Latin family. Loyal Group says, have your people get in touch with my people, and you can use any one of my bussies you'd like. That's the my people, your people will do lunch. And please, I hope none of you take offense by that comment. My wife is half Bolivian, and yeah, they are wonderful people, beautiful women, incredible cooks, very intelligent and fun to be with people. but you're on their time. At least this extended family. And I come from a family of totally on time, early folk. I think it comes from the Sicilian thing. You show up early and you make sure that there's no one earlier than you, and you keep your eye out and wait for their arrival and make sure you see them coming first. That could be. But that's not the kind of family I grew up in. Groundfog says, I have a few cold steel swords. They are good beat around live trainers. They don't have the cutting performance of better blades, obviously. Now, I wonder if that's on a scale, Groundfog. I know that they do, they put more finish work into some of them. And I do believe that includes the finish of the blades. And I think the finish of the blades aid in the geometry in their performance. So I know that they have a couple of fancy lines. Do you think that makes a difference? I'm curious, since you're the guy I only have one cold steel sword, only one. And I got my brother-in-law the light cavalry saber. That thing is so cool. I need to get one of those for myself, but it has a long cavalry, swooping cavalry blade, but at the end it gets thick, and then there's it's double-edged for the last like 6 inches, and it was used in the Battle of Waterloo, I believe, and to devastating effect. As I quote the Cold Steel catalog. Patrick J. Dunn says, I have the NAF knife roll hanging on the wall right next to my bed. Easy access to 17 persuaders. I like that. Hopefully they're not all folders. Now, here's the thing. We fidget with them all day. We might open them, close them a million times a day. But don't forget, with adrenaline and things like this, I just missed twice on this very easy to actuate knife. I don't know. It's good to have a fixed blade around. It is. Soulless One EDC says the Cold Steel 3V Hunter Mini I'd like to have. Yeah, they doing all their stuff in 3V is an interesting thing. But man, do they jack up the price like it's gold. What a beast knife you got for a cheap price. Wait, what is beast knife you got for a cheap price? Let's see. Okay. I mean, you want a real cheap price, a hell of a knife that was shockingly, surprisingly sharp with its 3 CR, even after banging it into wood over and over and over. The $25 Rough Rider Black Mule Bowie. First of all, it looks like the Shining Mountain Bowie pattern style Bowie knife. It's got a goofy big rubber handle, but Byron Kennedy sent me some wood. I'm going to this summer make a new handle for mine. But that knife, holy mackerel, that will go the distance, and it looks cool, and it's $25. But I could not believe how great it did. And even after all of the batoning, I was just doing batoning and carving, basically. After all of the stuff I did with that, it still sliced paper like really nicely. I couldn't believe it. Rough Rider, $25, 3 CR, which is also what Cold Steel is making some of their inexpensive big box store knives out of post GSM out of 3 CR. I guess 3 CR is a pretty tough, good steel for outdoor. Also, I would also say the Schrade, that big Bowie by Schrade called the what is it called? The SCHF 45, I think it is. Leroy. If you just look up Schrade Leroy, you'll see it. Big Bowie, very inexpensive. Patrick says, got 2 Cold Steel katanas in the nightstand. Oh, nice. Very nice. A Cold Steel 3V SRK is a straight up field knife beast. No kidding. And actually, if you get the SRK, the $40 SRK, sometimes you can find it for $35 with, I think it's carbon V. It's something. It's inexpensive. The real cheap one, those things, they're like Hondas. They just keep going. They're awesome. Southpaw Knife says, I don't have many fixed blades, but I picked up the Benchmade Anonymous in Crewwear. That's a nice knife. I really like the look of that knife, actually. And that sharpening choil is to die for. I absolutely love the thinner blade stock, and its edge retention is great. Yeah, and it looks like you can sharpen that thing for a long time with the choil. they offer without getting a smile or a recurve or anything like that at the base. Blade Ogre says, got the Cold Steel Raja 3 this week for $60. Nice. Love that knife. By the way, was there ever a Raja 1? Yes, the Raja 1 was the large one, but dressed up like this with the shiny black G10 and the bolsters. That was the very first Raja. And then they shortly after that came out with the XL in the all grivery, which is the only thing you can get now. And then they came out with the little one. I think they came out with the Raja 2 and 3 at the same time. The one came out first. Yeah, you don't see that. That's a grail for some people. You know, in this same sort of dress, there was a knife called the Black Rhino. It was just a big chunky Bowie knife that Jimmy Slash was showing off recently, and oh man, that's one I wish they'd pull out of the mothballs and offer up again, because that thing, I'd carry it every day, I swear. Beautiful knife. Okay, let's give this damn knife away. Not damn, it's a wonderful knife. Let's give this wonderful knife away to a Gentleman Junkie. And I just want to say this special thank you to all the Patreon patrons. I greatly appreciate it. I know Jim does. I appreciate the dedication and your offering your hard-earned lucre. But tonight, the Gentleman Junkies will be honored with this knife giveaway, and they include 5-Door, Ben Belkin, Byron Kennedy, Caleb Townsend, Cam Michael, Colin Maison-Pierre, Edwin Callow, Ezekiel Yates, Francis Villaire, Grim Reaper, Izzy, Jay McConnell, Jared Strasbaugh, Jesse Tellis, Jock, JVF, Kay Mason, Kevin Moore, Martin Gamboa, Mr. VC256, Never Enough Knives 007, Scott Nelson, Sean Curry, Timothy Becker, Tong Kim, Will Boyer, Yuval Peleg, and Zach Williams. Thank you, one and all. Unless Grim Reaper is a woman, thank you guys, one and all. It's greatly appreciated. And I hope you all win this. I hope each and every one of you win this knife. Just kidding. I can't wish that because it's impossible. But this is a cool knife nonetheless, and it will come from the hands of Dave through my hands to your hands. And sorry, my hands got something on the blade. But rest assured, if it's coming from Dave, it is immaculate. Immaculate. All right, Jim, let us pull up the wheel and let's see who walks with this beautiful Tonto. Look at that swedge. Look at that swedge, people. All right, in 3, 2, and 1. Now, it's always going to tease. It's going to tease, and then it will stop right on Will B. This is yours, my man. This right here is yours. Now, I don't think I'm trying to wonder, has Will ever won anything? I don't remember if he's won, but in any case, congratulations, Will. This warrior is yours. It is a really cool Tonto, and it will go nicely with the very cool Tonto that you bought from me last year, that Preta 2, which you are carrying today. Note the unique blade on this, and I like unique Tontos. So I'm so happy this is going to you, sir, and thank you, everyone, for your support. And that doesn't, that's not just patrons, but this moment for you patrons. Plus, I'm throwing in a little something extra, and I think you'll like it. So there you have it. So EDC, has your EDC changed over the years? This is a question I was thinking about and at first it was the thought of quality. I was like, wow, over the years, as you become older, you accumulate more stuff. And some of that, if you're lucky, is money. And, we are certainly not rich, but, we're living comfortably in America right now. So that's rich enough for me. Kevin Moore says, what is up, knife fans of all things sharp and pointy? Hello, Kevin. How are you doing, sir? It is almost time to don that Hawaiian shirt. Groundfog says, I still want to learn that whole Highlander secret of magic poofing. a sword from thin air. Wouldn't that be nice? Or 3 claws from your forearm. That might be cool too. Dissentient 101 says to go with your bedside rib splitter should be a pair of Amstiff pitties. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What was I getting at? What was I getting at? Oh, okay. So you accumulate stuff, and I was thinking about, wow, I carry knives that are more expensive than I ever thought I would buy at one time, and and I was just thinking about how many, like, the numbers of knives that I have, and how, I don't know how extraneous a lot of this stuff is when things are, how when bad things happen in your life, certain things cease to have importance. Well, I will always be into knives, but you also have to keep them in perspective. And sometimes when you look at all of them, it's like, do I really? God, is this what I've become? Do I need all of this stuff around me? Am I a stuff guy? Um, mm, so my collection has not changed. Like, I've become more mature and more, it's just gotten bigger. Kevin Moore says, I'm carrying my Concept Preta 2 today. I think it is today. Beautiful Mike Harta. Love that knife. What's up, Pop? It is an awesome knife. I love the thumb swale in the middle of the blade, whether you have the clip point or the Tonto. Awesome stuff there. So the question came up about this. So let's see. 6 Semper Tyrannis says, the older I get, the bigger the knife I carry. All right, tell me about it. What did you used to carry? Give me an example of what you used to carry and what you now carry. Now, I like fixed blades are just a part of my daily carry, almost without question. And on the days I don't carry a fixed blade, it feels weird at this point. So in that way, it's more and maybe a little bit bigger, but knives I never considered carrying before. Let's see. Never Enough Knives 007 says, over the years, the EDC knife count has increased. The rest of my EDC has remained fairly consistent for at least 15 years. Bandana, wallet, flashlight. Yeah, me too. Bandana, wallet, flashlight is relatively new, but phone, knife. Yeah. The essentials. But yeah, I used to think that, you can't carry a fixed blade knife, even if it's small. For some reason, I had it in my mind that fixed blade knives are like, are illegal or something. And then I actually looked into it, and this is, before the podcast even started. And I realized what you could do, but never had the guts or something to really carry a fixed blade. And then at some point in this journey, I was just like, threw caution to the wind. Though I'm not like walking around with stuff like this, though I could. It's within my legal right to have this on my belt, and it would be awful cool. But ultimately, it would turn heads in a way that would make everyone, including myself, uncomfortable. Nomadic Adventures says, saw the craziest reality we live in. Cop was talking to a woman that was the police liaison. They spoke to her. Then she spoke through a tent window, then asked what pronoun, Mr. or Ms. Those aren't pronouns. And oh, man. All right. So I'm really concerned about the fact that former Marine Daniel Penny, or current Marine, I'm not sure which it is, was indicted in New York City for subduing that crazy man on the subway. I cannot believe that. I can't believe that's what's happening. Like many others have said, they should be giving the guy the key to the city. Obviously the cops and the Justice Department in New York City are not interested in solving crimes, at least the crimes that we're all victim of. They're way more interested in phantom federal crimes and other sorts of bullshit. So this is very concerning to me. in any self-defense situation, which I believe that was, he was defending himself and others in that car from this guy who was hurling threats. And I think that in any situation like that, you cannot afford to hem and haw and go back and forth. Well, what are the consequences, and how will I be judged by my tight ass peers? You got to just do something in the moment. And those people who indicted him have never done anything in their whole lives, and they have not been forced to make a difficult decision like that. Otherwise, they never would have indicted him. So I think it's a disgrace. Sorry for that little rant. Ketmuk says, I have become more desensitized to the prices. The first time I bought a knife over $100, I thought it would be only one. Yeah. Now that I've gotten this $100 knife, the search is over. Now I am even more financially irresponsible. Yes. Hoping for a Jack Wolf knives tomorrow. Yes. That, well, finance, let's be disciplined, but let's not be too hard on ourselves. I mean, it's financially irresponsible if it's, if you're going into hock for it, you're taking food out of the baby's mouths for it. Anyone still EDC a pen? Oh yeah, I EDC this. This is so easy to drop in the pocket, but there are lots of great. I also love the Jotter. The Jotter is a great pen. It's a classic. It's cool. It looks like a cool old classic pen, but now they make them with stainless steel barrels. They're still colored, so they look like the old plastic ones, but they're stainless steel, which means you can use them as weapons. You can John Wick with them. Whereas before they were plastic, they would break at the joint, where the metal part meets the plastic part. Patrick J. Dunn says, never imagined that I would EDC $400 to $600 knives. Yeah. Yeah. Me neither. And then use them for nothing, or at least search for reasons to use them. If I'm being honest, and I always am here, that is my situation. I have way more knife than I need. And I actually fear the life I would need, fear the life I would have to need all the knives I own. Southpaw Knife says, as I have aged, my EDC has changed by quality over quantity. Okay, well, that's good. That's a healthy balance, Southpaw. That's how it should go. As you mature, that's how it should go. Some of us have more work to do. I have increased both quantity and quality. But I haven't reduced buying the cheap stuff too. I still love getting, and I'm sorry for calling it the cheap stuff, because that sounds kind of crass, but I still love my $60 knives. I still love my $20 knife. I still love going to Walmart and buying a knife for $5. I still get a rush from that. So, troubled? You decide. Kevin Moore says, when I lost my sight and became disabled, retired, I had less money to spend on knives, but now I enjoy the knives that I have even more. Kevin Moore, I had no idea you lost your sight. I had no idea. Nomadic Adventure says, do more to person stopping the shoplifter than the shoplifter committing the crime. Yeah, like Lululemon. I hope Lululemon goes out of business within the year, because they want to go out of business. They want to go out of business, so I want them to. Unbelievable. Firing two employees who tried to stop the theft of their products. Fired them. What a slap in the face. What kind of a lowlife. What kind of a mincing prick does that, owns that company? I cannot believe that. What is happening to this country? I know it's not happening to everyone, but why are the loudest voices so stupid? I'm sorry. I am flabbergasted daily by the state of our country. But anyway, Hero Stick says, as I've gotten older, my EDC setup has focused more keenly on fewer pieces of higher quality. A nod to self-defense. Yep, as you've shown in the awesome folders you've sent me, and folders, fixies, and watches that work together aesthetically. You had me up until watches, because all of this sounds logical until you get to watches, because that's where it all goes out the window. I could go off the rails. I could ruin this family with just a couple of watches. Isn't that a crazy thing to think? Yeah, just a couple of, probably just one watch could end my marriage. Professor EDC said, Bob, Jim, my fellow knife brothers, hope everyone is doing well. Professor EDC, it's so good to have you here, sir. We're just waxing philosophical and poetical and romantical. Have a Knife Day says, the Marine case you should concern us all. Yeah, should concern us all. I do believe that he is not active duty. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, that is very, very, very concerning. New York City, man, you get what you vote for. What a beautiful place gone so awry. Same thing with San Francisco. What a beautiful city that was. I remember visiting there in the 80s and the 90s. God, it was beautiful. I wanted to move there. I couldn't afford it right after college. Well, they've just committed municipal suicide. Nomadic Adventures says, as I've gotten older, less is more. Invest in quality and purpose. Gosh, we have a lot of mature people here, and I admire it, and hopefully it rubs off. I'm only half mature, and that's a start. Kevin Moore says that I started a live interview on Instagram with our EDC community, and that's been a blast. I should have you on there, Bob. I would love to. I saw you just had, I think this is the first time I saw it, and you have like the screen on top and the screen on bottom. And I don't remember who it was, but it was at work, and I kind of had it on for a minute. That's cool. I'm all for it. And what I mean is I'm all for being invited on. I'd love to. Five Door says, I EDC 3 tactile turn pens at work every day. I like that, Five Door. 3 tactile turn pens. Their pens are sweet. I need to get one in my life. Hero Stick says, I have to say though, spending $300 plus on a single new knife instead of 4 to 6 budget folders I want to check out is always a tough call. Yeah, it is a tough call. I know Blade Show talk about it all the time for the several months after, but something that is so good about Blade Show is that thing right there. It releases a pressure valve that builds up over the year where you're just like, all these cool knives, my God, I know 85% of them I won't get a chance to even check out, let alone own. So you at Blade Show, when you finally get to check them out, I love this experience. You'll be like, oh, cool. Finally, I get to check out the Emerson Sax. And I'm like, okay, all right, this is cool. And I really like it. And, but I can see why I had that initial flare up of lust for it. And then it dissipated, and I'm glad I didn't buy it. And I'm glad I got a chance to experience it. But that happened to me several times this year, all with folders, because that's just, I'm getting pickier with folders, I guess. Yep. As I've aged, says Five Door, I carried bigger, more expensive knives, but also enjoy adding a secondary slip joint. Yeah. So been into slip joints for, I guess, 10 years or so. I guess since GECs kind of became popular, maybe more than that. Tendencies, Bob, tendencies. Nowadays, ignorance. Ignorance and stupidity are in. Yeah. But the slip joints, they take me back. Maybe to an era that wasn't as stupid as this era, but also to memories of my grandfather and how his era lived and how I idealized that. Of course, I didn't live there, and I did not live through the Depression. And to idealize that part is silly, but certain freedoms and the spirit of the country at that time, and I don't know, the fact that there still seemed to be a frontier and adventure, even in the more populated places in the nation, slip joints kind of bring some of that out. Byron Kennedy says, I think you may want that whiskey in the water now, Bob. Yeah, exactly. No, that's what you don't want, or that turns into it turns into something. I could ruin this family with just a couple of watches. Brilliant line, Bob. I'm sure my wife will be thrilled to find that out. I fell asleep, Bob. Been a long few days. Awesome. Thanks. Yeah. Hey, man. Excited and happy for you, sir. My pleasure. Actually, better write this down because there does come a tomorrow, and I'm all so will be winner. All right. Have a Knife Day says, especially since I live in California, needless to say, that it is experiencing the same mental bend as New York. It's difficult to go out of the house some days because of the urban decay. I'm so sorry to hear that. You know, I love city living. I loved city living. And I lived in Philly in the early 90s. It was a little rough, but it was kind of coming out of a lot rough. And then I lived in New York City, in Brooklyn and Manhattan during a truly golden era. You know, it was safe, and it was safe from Giuliani and also from Bloomberg, who I didn't like at the time, but I realize now what a great job he did running that city, and I loved it. I loved the city, walking out, and just having adventures. I had a lot of adventures in that city, and man, it's depressing to see how things have changed. And in your beautiful part of the country too, California is such a stunning place, and has so many cool cities and different beautiful natural environments, and to take a place like that and purposefully drive it into the ground, like spitefully, that's what it seems like from my perspective. That's a sin. Patrick J. Dunn says, buying one last high-end knife until work resumes. It's a hinderer I've been hunting for years. Hope it's still there in 3 hours. So what is it? Tell me which one, Patrick. So you've been hunting it for years. That's awesome to hear. I'm curious which blade and which model. Nomadic Adventures. Hard thing about new releases. I like to see in person what I'm getting. Hard to do nowadays. That's for sure. That is for sure. And how many times have you ordered something, it shows up and you're like, oh, it's smaller than I thought, or, you know, it's not what I thought it would be. Oftentimes I'm pleasantly surprised. And I think that's because earlier on I was disappointed a lot. So I've learned to manage my expectations. But here's, you know, the praxis. We were talking about this before. I ordered this in wood and black because I thought it looked nice. It showed up and it exceeded expectations, both in size and lusciousness. This is a great knife. Really nice wood and such. Let's see. Loyal Group says whiskey will definitely clear up your memory. Yeah. Nomadic Adventure says, I love city living till vehicle gets broken into weekly and apartment. Yes. And then you're in a place where you can't defend yourself legally. Shit. I mean, not in your apartment, not on the subway. Worked in downtown Philly in the early 90s at night, says Patrick J. Dunn. I wonder what you were doing. What were you doing? Because I was carousing at the same time. I was living irresponsibly. No, I wasn't, but I was enjoying that city as a young man. Hero Stick says, I fantasize about living off-grid sometimes. Not so much to escape, but to return to a rhythm of living that I think perhaps we were designed for. Yeah, people talk about people talk about the senses we may have lost, things we may have lost as we've modernized. And I think one of those things is actually just that. It's you know, how you actually live, like moment to moment, meaning getting up at dawn, going to bed at night. Bowie recommendations. But yeah, so I totally hear you about that living off grid fantasy. And like all fantasies, you know, it's probably better in the fantasy. Sometimes when fantasies come true, that can be another life ruiner. So Eat Feet, let me know when you say Bowie recommendations. What are you talking? Someone else before was asking about a budget Bowie. Are you talking about like any Bowie, or are you looking for something in particular? Hem it in just a little bit so I can give you a really awesome recommendation, because I think I can do that. Nomadic Adventure says, lived on coffee farm. Oh, basically off grid. That sounds awesome. Medical issues forced me to return. Yeah. That sounds amazing though. A coffee farm. Jeez. Patrick J. Dunn says, I was valet parking for Ruth's Chris Steakhouse on Broad Street while I was in college. That's awesome, man. Okay, so I had a friend whose parents once took us to that Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and you could smoke cigars back then in there. They came around with a humidor, and I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And I was fresh out of college, and had no money, and my friend's father was just like, all right, boys, I'm taking you out for steak. And it was so awesome, going from ramen to, like, I don't know, $40 steak, and then smoking a cigar like I'm some fat cat. That was awesome. Well, what do you know, man? That's pretty cool. Small world. It's interesting to think about how if you were to look above, if you were to put some sort of a tracer on someone's head, like a bright light, and then you were to look at them from space over the period of their life and see the zigzag, the spaghetti noodle that their life is through their physical movement, and then see how others intersect. I think that would be cool. That would be really cool to map out. I know impossible to do, but interesting that you were there and I was there at the same time. Didn't know each other, but here, 30 years later, we're talking online. Kind of interesting. Eat Feet says, a jungle Bowie is probably what I'm looking for. A jungle Bowie. Hmm. You know what? What about this? It's right over there. But what about the Ontario SP10? Look that one up. It's the Ontario version of the Marine Raider Bowie. So it looks cool. It's got a beautifully shaped blade if you like Bowies. It's got an awesome handle too, and this thing is built for hard work. I mean, you can go to town with this thing, as you can see a million people from Nut and Fancy to Scab of Choir Boys using that thing, and just using it and abusing it and have it come back for more. But it also looks cool, and it's also light enough if you wanted it to, if you wanted to pretend to be a knife fighter with it. That would be a good thing. Oh, I said, so I'm saying check out the SP10 Ontario. It's just on a lark. See if that's kind of in your realm. You said Jungle Bowie, and I thought, well, that precludes some of the ones I was going to say, because some of them have wooden handles, some of them have leather handles, and if you're in the jungle, you're going to want that rubber handle. That's on the whatchamacallit, the Condor Jungle Bowie. Hey, Descentient 101's getting right to it. Nomadic Adventure says, excuse me, what would be the difference between the jungle and the Undertaker Bowie? I'm trying to think of what I can describe the Undertaker Bowie. It's got the hollow grind, and it's got the coffin handle and the sort of flat plate guard. And now I'm trying to remember the Jungle Bowie. Yeah, that Raider is a great Bowie, says Loyal Group. Yeah, a lot of cool budget Ontario knives. Yeet Feet. Sorry, guys. Yeet Feet says, thank you for the recommendation. Hey, man, anytime. That's why we're here. Do love Bowies. Don't forget about K-bars. I know they're like Bowie light, but yeah, I've been seeing like Have a Knife Day was mentioning the Spartan K-bar, and Scab was showing off, and I'm just, like I said, my appetite has been whetted for another K-bar. And do I need another K-bar? Obviously I do. So I think I should go out and get one. My God, do I have some stories from my time working on Broad Street. Got my first pew second week working there. Yes, that's funny, because I used to go to a shooting range just north of City Hall. I mean, it was like very close to City Hall. And I couldn't believe it. Like any low life such as myself could just roll in there and in like 3 minutes be shooting a 45. They only had a couple of, it was dark. I think it was run by ex-cops. It was a seedy place, but I'm sure it's long gone. But yeah, I got a pew after moving to Philly myself. Byron Kennedy says, Yeet Feet, try the Kukri House for the best Jungle Bowies and knives. Yeah, no doubt. And Kukri House, Donnie B All Day designs a bunch of knives that he has Kukri House make. And he's got some cool stuff. Now, one thing about Donnie, he's a really cool guy. He was on the show here, and then I met him in person at Blade. Very warm guy, very great guy. But he's also a giant, and his hands are like baseball gloves. So just remember, if you order one of his designs, it's going to have a big handle. It's going to be a big ass knife. So keep that in mind. I wanted to talk about the CJRB Pyrite. Now, I didn't pull my Pyrite out, which I should have, but I have the G10 and drop point version. Very, very nice knife when it first came out, and the company sent it to me. I talked about it a lot, and I would flip it, and I would talk about how, to me, it was the best button lock. And then I saw that a lot of people concurred, not necessarily with me, like they heard me and said, "Oh, I agree with Bob," but I was hearing a lot of people say that. Well, the Pyrite has become very, very popular, especially with its Warncliffe edition with a lozenge shaped opening hole that is really strummed a chord. Well, now CJRB is coming out with a program that they're calling Perfect Pyrite, and so they're coming in 3 different tiers of awesomeness, where you can get it with the titanium handles. You can get them the high end is the titanium handles contoured with inlays, and then they go down from there to and with S90V steel and the micarta and really nice carbon fiber inlays, and then they go down to the G10 and AR RPM 9 versions, but what you're getting are dressed up versions of these knives. I've seen a couple of them. A couple of people have gotten the full complement of these. Jared Neves Knives did, and I think Metal Complex, they showed off all these knives, and they are gorgeous. I got to say, I really like the Pyrite, and for a 3.2-inch blade, I just think it's awesome, and I'm really excited about this in particular. I wouldn't mind getting any one of these, but especially something. The one that I saw that I really like had the green micarta inlay with the gray titanium. It just looks so handsome. I really like it. And then with the tumbled blade. So what do you think? You guys like these? They're doing a Kickstarter, which is kind of funny. You don't think of a company like CJRB or Artisan doing a Kickstarter for something like this, but I guess it's one way of gauging interest. You'd think they would just do like a pre-order or something. Patrick says, I know that shooting range. It's on Spring Garden, and he just popped 2 dudes trying to break in during COVID. Really? Tried buying my first from him, but didn't seem interested in helping me. I remember hearing about that. I'm pretty sure I remember hearing about this, about him doing that. And I remember coming in once, and I think I interrupted amorous activities with a lady of the street. It was pretty interesting. And then the guy rented me the gun, and I hand sanitized. Just kidding. This was in the day before we needed hand sanitizer. EDC for Fun says, hey, everyone. Hey, EDC for Fun. Good to have you here, sir. Yeah, Professor EDC says, I've been in a kind of controversial spot again, knowing for some time now that I don't need all the blades I have and just wanting to focus on using just the few. And every time this happens, my collection is reduced. Oh my gosh. Yes, man. Yes. Well, I mean, again, that could be the sign of maturing. That could be the sign of a spirit in evolution. Could be. Cheeto Bandito says, hello all. Cheeto Bandito, hello to you, sir. Let us know what you had in your pocket tonight. Oh boy. Little gnat right on my light. So if you are interested in fixed blade EDCs, since we've been talking about them a lot here on this channel, you might consider a TKL because of how well they carry, especially this Night Stalker, this Night Stalker. Now, I ordered a Combatant, which is a great little EDC fixed blade from them that I thought would be my favorite to carry. This actually turned out to be, but really great knife. And then he sent this along so that I could help him market it, I guess. So that was really, really cool. And Tim and the whole TKL crew is just, they're so awesome. But they sent this to me, and I have been shocked at how much I love carrying this knife. And I carry it in the scout position right up front. And it's perfect. And somehow it just, well, somehow because of this great co-branded or co-designed discreet carry concepts TKL sideways clip, carries really snugly to the body, especially if you go over the belt and over the waistband. And this just rests totally flat. You can have a thin t-shirt on and you won't be able to know. But this blade is so good. It is such a good, that this is set up with the ring for the tactical thing. But I don't lead a tactical lifestyle, so I use this like a regular knife, almost never putting my finger in there, just using it like a regular knife. What a great blade. It is so incredibly sharp. All of his knives are just really, really, really sharp. And I've been so impressed with this knife. I strongly suggest you look at TKL knives for small fixed blades. They have a couple of larger ones, but definitely for small fixed blades, they're just outstanding. And they go the distance, and they're also covered with nickel boron coating, which is really cool because it makes everything real slick. Loyal Group says, fixed blade EDC, Winkler Huntsman. Oh, yeah, that'd be nice. That would be nice. I like that. I like the Huntsman. And then what's that one that's kind of it's slender. It's got a pistol grip, and the blade kind of comes out at a kind of an angle, pistol grip angle. Five Door says, I don't carry for fancying up and paying for a budget import with inlays. Okay. I don't care for fancying up and paying for a budget import with inlays, etc. Though the pyrite is very good. Well, yeah, I mean, so I hear you 100%, but that the titanium and the S90V and all that is taking a very good knife and just stepping it up with all the materials. But I hear what you're saying. Beaver Baron says, Crazy K and Damon just announced they are leaving Kaiser. Oh, I don't know these people. Are they part of the marketing or design team, Beaver Baron? So I'm taking it by your saying this right here. This is obviously a shocking announcement or something that Kaiser fans will care about. Right now they are live telling it. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, so what do they do? Professor EDC says, Bob is like the magic wand shop in Harry Potter. He just has everything he can recommend the most appropriate. Yes. And if I can steer the conversation towards something I have in front of me, I will. Because then it looks like sleight of hand. But yeah, so let me know about that. Yeah. Jim, can you please go back 2 comments? I'm flaking on something, and I just want to see. It was about Crazy K. You don't have to go back. I'm just curious, are they who they are and what they do for Kaiser? But I guess that they're leaving has an impact. So anyway, interesting. I need to know more about these people. I need to get in on the inside. Beaver Baron says Damon Designs and K Marketing. Okay, cool. All right, thank you. Well, I wonder where they're going. I wonder if they're going to start their own company. A lot of people are doing that, and they're coming out with some cool stuff. Gus Beck, good to see you here, Gus. Good evening, everyone. Today at work, construction, I carried the ZT0566 Hinderer. That's a great, that's one of my favorite 3.25 inch designs of all time. And the Leatherman Skeletool. Let's see. Later, I switched to the We Evoke. the Laconico. Now that is one that I am looking at. I think that is such a beautiful knife. I love that. The big swedge on the back of the blade. I really like that knife. A lot. Tomas at Tactical Tavern shows that off every once in a while, and every time he does, I'm like, oh, what's that? Oh, I gotta check that out. Yeah, very nice. And then the SBD Mini Evo Epic D10. Yeah, with that tab. Those things feel amazing. Beaver Baron, they aren't saying why they are leaving. They said it's personal reasons, and we will see them both soon. Very cool. Are they? I wonder if they're married. Yeah, that was my long duck dong imitation, if anyone got it. Married. Oh, this one I showed off today. Now, this is a Dirk Pinkerton. This deserves some lookage. I have yet to do a close-up video of this, but today I shot some shorts that I'm posting over the next few days. And because it was so beautiful out and I had a moment, I went and got in some sunlight and shot some of my knives. And one of them was this beauty. I just think this thing is so beautiful. This is the Fire Ant. And now Dirk Pinkerton designed a Fire Ant folder for Kaiser. Speaking of Kaiser, and it somewhat looks like this, similar blade shape. But this, as you can see, is triple edged. You've got the top edge, you've got the bottom edge, and then you've got that forward edge. And it's got that beautiful blue and black rich light, smooth, and it just feels good in the hand. Awesome jimping. Great utility knife, goes without saying with that blade shape, but also, I mean, just a wicked self-defense knife. Very, very effective self-defense style knife. And a great sheath. I put on the discreet carry clip on it, and that bit of rubber from the bike inner tube. Why is this not going in? There we go. And it stays in place so nice. No. Just kidding. Yes. I call it a triple edge sheep's foot. But yeah, you could call it a reverse Warncliffe if you must. EDC for Fun says all the edges. That's right. It's like the what was that? April Fool's serrated knife, the one that's serrated all the way around. Even the handle is serrated. Let's see. Patrick says, I love the Fire Ant, need one. Yeah, he had a bunch of them at Blade Show. I think this is a model that he's currently moving, I guess. He sent me a picture of a knife he just finished, a Sachs style knife that if I could buy them all, I would get them all. I just really love his work, especially his handmade stuff. I mean, I do love his folder designs for the big companies, but his handmade stuff is just crazy. I know you're all used to hearing me say that, but yeah, just get it in your hands and see, and you'll know. You'll know. All right, what else, guys? We're about to wrap up here. Anything else on your minds before we take it on down to Chinatown? You let me know. And as you do, I'm going to pull out this Bowie. We were talking Bowies before, and here's one that I was hot on when I got, and then just last night pulled it back out and was remembering how awesome and classy this knife is. This is the Kudaman Bowie. You got that. It's the Kudaman micarta Bowie. You got that beautiful red stitching. I got to fix that. That's coming undone there. But just a great blade. This is made in Spain. Kudaman, and they all use, what is this? Molybdenum vanadium steel. And I don't know how to, let's see. Molybdeno Vanadio. Anyway, made in Spain. Beautiful knife. I love the shape of this. It's sort of very plain classic Bowie with, you've got the coffin shaped handle, and then this blade shape is so, I don't know. I feel like this is a blade a knife you could have seen in Kmart in like 1975, or you could see this in a hardware store in the 80s. Just like this very generic kind of Bowie shape, but I really love it. Hollow ground, very very sharp, and this steel, this molybdeno vanadio, is very robust and tough. I did a bunch of chopping and hacking with this when I first got it, because I saw Scruggs do it, or Grugs, I'm sorry, and I thought, well, now that I know that the knife can take it, I'll abuse mine. That's kind of how I roll. I let other people abuse their knives, and then if I want to, I do it myself. You were closer in the first attempt of pronunciation. What was I trying to? Kudaman. Yeah, I can never say it once because it never sounds right coming out of my face hole. Southpaw says, looks like something that's going to be in a race on the Bonneville Salt Flats. Are you talking about this? This one does. Right? Yeah. Built for speed, baby. Built for speed. K Mason says, I've been out of the loop. Any latest on the Nova one? No, the latest on the Nova one still on schedule for August. I saw well, I didn't just see. I hung out quite a bit with Matt Chase at Blade Show, and he brought one of the production models, and it was really cool to compare them. And I really like. I feel like I need to get a production model now. I mean, I have this prototype, and it's prized, but the changes he made per having the prototype really push it over the edge. So I think I might have to get that. So long answer is yes, and they're doing, and they look sweet, and they feel great, and they're slightly different from this in a couple of ways. As you recall, the jimping has been moved up. The handle is a little thinner, and it's got the green liners, not the red, and that logo will be smaller. He has not put the logos on yet, but yeah, so they're in shape, and there were tons of people apparently asking about it and wanting to buy it because he had it up there right next to the EDC Tontos that have the same platform, and he of course had to say no. And this makes all of you who bought one of these on the pre-order, or just bought one of them because there are only a limited 25 of them being made, that makes you the owners of something very exclusive. Now, someday down the line, maybe we make it a slightly different version of it if people really want it, and make it a little less special. But yeah, so that's the good word. The production models are looking awesome, and he's on schedule so far still. Hero Stick says, Bob, love the 3 knives for movie character segments this week. You should bring that one back from time to time. Thank you. That was fun to do. That was really fun to do because, well, like I said in that segment, so many times I'm like, man, what a missed opportunity to feature a great knife. Byron Kennedy says, thanks, Bob. Get in on the Knife Rights Ultimate Steel fundraiser. Wraps up soon. Good night, all. Thanks, Bob and Jim. Absolutely right. Thank you, Byron. Appreciate you, man. Have a great night. And, well, you all have a great night. But as Jim has this up here, kniferights.org/ultimate steel. And then here it says /2022 ultimate steel. I'm not sure if that's a typo or if this goes to cover their bills from 2022. Sometimes organizations do it like that. But yeah, be sure to check that out, kniferights.org, for all that they do for us. Let's give back to them. And K Mason says, thanks, Bob, Jim, and everyone. Take care. Much love to you, K Mason, and all the rest of you awesome dudes out there. Gus Beck says, good night, all. May your blades be sticky sharp. Yes, sir. Sticky sharp. EDC for Fun says, like its name's in the Bible, just say it with confidence and no one will know the wiser. Oh, yes. All right. I like that. That's a good bit of advice. Thank you, EDC for Fun. Good to have you with us. Good to have you too, Blade Ogre. Thanks again for the great live, Bob and Jim. Good night, everybody. Well, good night to you, sir. Never Enough Knives says, have a great weekend, junkies. You too, man. Have an awesome weekend. And have a knife day says, have a good knife, everyone. Thank you, Michael. You have an awesome one yourself, sir. 5-Door, thank you, 5-Door, for joining us and for joining Patreon. It's greatly appreciated. Good night, all, he says. Good night to you. And good night to one and all. like Loyal Group. I'm in. Good night. See you, man. So you all have an awesome night. Have a great weekend. Remember, this is the official start to the weekend, Professor EDC. That means even you down south. The weekend has begun. Enjoy it. And then enjoy our interview on Thursday with Rick Valdez of Ocaso Knives, making some really cool gentleman's knives, a Cold Steel alum, doing some very different stuff than he was doing at Cold Steel. So check that out. And we will see you there. For Jim working his magic behind the switcher, I'm Bob DeMarco saying, until next time, don't take dull for an answer.